You are listening to the Morning Breath Podcast. Please enjoy today's show, hosted by Pastors Matt and Jessica Stallbaum.
Hey, welcome to Morning Breath, your drive time devotion, sure to jumpstart your day. I'm Matt, and this is Jessica. What is going on?
What is up? Happy March. Can't believe we are marching into March. Here we go. And look, we're all bundled up. Look at us. We look cozy, don't we?
There's still the air conditioning.
I know. There's always air conditioning.
There's always air conditioning.
Yes. So let's see. What is new? Not much. Our oldest, well, this is big. Our oldest son has his driver's license now. And I just don't know how to feel about that. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's new. I mean, it's just new, and we're excited. It's great. Proud of my son, proud of all the hard work he's put in to drive well, and proud that he passed his test. And
he's so cautious.
He's
so grateful.
He's such a good kid, but it's definitely different as a parent, to...
How's our insurance payment feel?
Well, definitely feels like it's now be more responsible, get a job, all that fun stuff. So it's part of life, and definitely going through all the emotions as a parent.
I want to give some advice to young parents, new parents. You just had a kid. Start saving now for braces. No one told us that. No one told us, there's a probability your kid might not have perfect teeth and you might need braces, and they are expensive. So start saving now. I'm not even joking. If you start putting $10 in the envelope once a month, we talked a lot about budgeting in our last show last Monday. Talked about how we didn't have a budget and now we do, and how it's been life-changing. But I really wish that would have been a line item on the budget about 10 years ago.
Yeah, or move to England, because then it doesn't matter what your teeth look like.
That's so rude.
Seriously? No, it's not. They don't care.
You lived in England, so you're allowed to say that.
And my grandmother's from England, all right? We know about these things,
very
okay?
English.
Yeah.
Okay, get off the hook.
I'm half British, okay? Save for braces or move to England.
Or move to England.
Your choice.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. This is Morning Breath. This is a show where we just take one chapter of the Bible and we read it.
Not about stinky breath, okay?
Well, we also talk about teeth and braces and other stuff. But the main part is taking one chapter of the Bible, reading it together, and talking about what God is breathing on it, morning breath. And we've been in the book of Proverbs, and we are going to be in Proverbs 19 today, on the 1st of March. And before we get into that, though, I've been doing something new at the beginning of the show, and just asking a question so that you can, we can get to know each other a little more better. And then you get to know us a little more better. Today's question is, what is your favorite beverage drink? What's your favorite drink?
Man.
Don't be healthy and say water.
Sparkling water. Not kidding.
What kind, though?
What kind?
You're a bit picky.
I mean, it depends on the mood I'm in. It's it's not stagnant, the kind I like. It
is. Your very favorite is that one brand that's never on sale. What's it called? Spindrift.
Okay.
Raspberry lime.
I'm sorry, but it's changed. That's
is
probably
because
that's not seltzer water. That has juice added. It has grapefruit juice or lemon juice added to it.
I'm not buying it anymore.
So I love it, though. I still love it. It's never on sale, but whatever. And the other one I like that's never on sale either is Publix Green Wise. It's the
sparkling,
best orange.
Yes.
Publix
I
Green
actually
Wise
agree.
Orange.
I hate sparkling water.
And orange, whatever. I don't know why that one's so stinking good, but it is.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beverage?
Cherry Coke. I love cherry Coke. I also really love this drink. We have to call it pop because it's from up north. It's from Ohio, and it's called Ski.
Yep.
And it is, how Sprite is lemon lime? It is orange. Is it orange and lime?
Orange and lime, I think.
Orange and lime. Anyway, it's very citrusy, and it's like Mountain Dew, but better. And it has a ton of caffeine and a ton of sugar in it. And thankfully, it's only in Ohio, so I only get it when my mom and Jeff go up north and bring it back for me. But Ski, if you've come to my house and I've given you a Ski, count yourself
lucky,
blessed. I love
favored.
You. Yeah, highly favored. Yeah, but I've been trying to not. The 21 days at the beginning of the year helped me stop drinking soda every day, and I pop.
Man, I'll tell you what, when quarantine was on, my favorite drink was not sparkling water.
Yeah.
It was ginger ale.
Orange.
Lime.
Ginger ale with lime?
And lemon.
Or ginger ale with
orange. Or ginger ale with lemon.
Or ginger ale with lemon.
And it was like a toss-up between the lemon and orange, depending on...
Canada Dry, I never knew.
So good.
Ginger ale, Canada Dry ginger ale
I don't even drink it anymore.
Ugh. Yeah.
First of First of all, I blew up by like 12 pounds, no problem.
You gained
like
the
I almost gained
COVID-19?
19 pounds.
Yeah.
Thankfully, in October, I just said enough's enough, and I lost, I lost 14 pounds. So,
Yeah.
and I've kept 12 of it off still.
Good job.
Through the holidays.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No more soda.
Or Pop-Tarts. That was my,
Oh, we loved Pop-Tarts.
let's just talk here for a second.
Yep.
Favorite snack, and then we'll get on with the show.
Yeah. Brown sugar and cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
That during COVID, that like the quarantine rather, because COVID's still around, we
Yeah.
know, but it was Pop-Tarts all day.
It was
Brown
like
sugar.
always have them.
We had to buy like the 50
Mega
packs.
pack. I would hide them too from our
I know.
kids in our pantry.
I remember.
Remember that old commercial? It was like the Milano cookie. I don't know if you remember. It's Pepperidge Farm Milano cookies, and like the mom would get up on a chair and take the Milano cookies and like put them in the light fixture to hide them from her kids. I remember being a kid, being like, "Wow, what a selfish mom!" And now I'm a mom, and I'm like, I get it. They eat everything.
Yeah. So current favorite snack right now is tortilla chips.
Yeah,
100%.
Santitas.
That's
the
been my
win.
favorite my whole life. I love.
That's our son. Our middle son
chips.
loves tortilla chips.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, he just eats them nonstop. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite snack is right now. I'm just not in the mood. I have to think about it. Okay, I don't want to commit. Proverbs chapter 19. Here I go. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is twisted in his speech and is a short-sighted fool. Also, it's not good for a person to be without knowledge, and he who hurries with his feet, acting impulsively and proceeding without caution or analyzing the consequences, sins, misses the mark. The foolishness of man undermines his way, ruining whatever he undertakes. Then his heart is resentful and rages against the Lord. For being a fool, he blames the Lord instead of himself. Wealth makes many friends, but a poor man is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will not escape. Many.
So I have a question. We went from 13 to 19.
Oh,
Which is 6 chapters.
I'm doing it all wrong. Sorry. Chapter 19 is amazing. You just got a preview. Wait for the rest of it in 2 days.
Welcome to Morning Breath, your drive time devotion, sure to jumpstart your day. Back to chapter 17.
Proverbs 17.
Like 19 never happened.
Ever. No, it's going to happen in 2 days from now. So come back for that. Proverbs 17. Better. Someone probably needed to hear some of that, some part of Proverbs 19. Okay. Better is a dry morsel of food served with quietness and peace than a house full of feasting served with strife and contention. Thank you for adding. A wise servant will rule over the unworthy son who acts shamefully and brings disgrace to the family, and the worthy servant will share in the inheritance among the brothers. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests hearts. An evildoer listens closely to wicked lips, and a liar pays attention to a destructive and malicious tongue. Whoever mocks the poor taunts his maker, and he who rejoices at another's disaster will not go unpunished. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Verse 5. Grandchildren are the crown of aged men, and the glory of children is their fathers who live godly lives. Excellent speech does not benefit a fool who is spiritually blind, much less do lying lips benefit a prince. A bribe is like a bright, precious stone in the eyes of its owner. Wherever he turns, he prospers. He who covers and forgives an offense seeks love, but he who repeats or gossips about a matter separates intimate friends. A reprimand goes deeper into one who has an understanding and teachable spirit than 100 lashes into a fool. A rebellious man seeks only evil, therefore a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Let a man meet a ferocious bear robbed of her cubs, rather than the angry, narcissistic fool in his folly. Whoever returns evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like letting out water as from a small break in a dam. First it trickles and then it gushes. Therefore, abandon the quarrel before it breaks out and tempers explode. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both repulsive to the Lord. Why is there money in the hand of a fool to buy wisdom, when he has no common sense or even a heart for it? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. A man lacking common sense gives a pledge and becomes guarantor for the debt of another in the presence of his neighbor. He who loves transgression loves strife and is quarrelsome. He who proudly raises his gate seeks destruction because of his arrogant pride. He who has a crooked mind finds no good, and he who is perverted in his language falls into evil. He who becomes the parent of a fool who is spiritually blind does so to his sorrow, and the father of a fool who is spiritually blind has no joy. A happy heart is good medicine, and a joyful mind causes healing, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. A wicked man receives a bribe from the hidden pocket to pervert the ways of justice. Skillful and godly wisdom is in the presence of a person of understanding, and he recognizes it. But the eyes of a thick-headed fool are on the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief and anguish to his father, and bitterness to her who gave birth to him. It is also not good to fine the righteous, nor to strike the noble for their uprightness. He who has knowledge restrains and is careful with his words, and a man of understanding and wisdom has a cool spirit, self-control, and even temper. Even a callous, arrogant fool, when he keeps silent, is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is regarded as sensible, prudent, discreet, and a man of understanding.
Amen. Amen. All right, so I'm going to jump on verse 3. My goodness, this one just it got me. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold. And when you look at that, it's basically saying how you purify down these metals. You put the metal in a heating device. It heats up, and the impurities will oftentimes float to the top, right? It'll come up to the top. And imagine sometimes they go to the bottom, maybe like lead or something like that. If there was lead in the metal, it would sink to the bottom, or maybe iron. I'm not really sure. But what ends up happening is it separates from the silver and the gold. And what they would do is they would take from the top the impure things, and they would remove it to refine the gold down. And then it goes on to say, but the Lord tests the heart. And what if God is ever testing you, and the Bible says that he doesn't ever tempt you, okay? Temptation doesn't come from the Lord. Temptation only comes from your desires, okay? You cannot be tempted by something you don't desire. But God can test us, and I felt in 2020 the pressure of this test like I've never faced in my life. You know, realistically, in the year 2020, I began to take leadership on at East Coast Christian Center at the co-lead level. And in all reality, Pastor Dan, my dad, was giving me the bulk of the decisions. And it was pandemic, boom, you know.
That was planned before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and we're like, seriously?
Yeah, seriously, Lord? What in the world? But here's what I felt God doing at every step of the way, a refining of me, a continual testing, not so I would fail, but so that God would remove the impurities from my life. And here, this is the nature of the Lord. God is only going to test you to pull out the bad things, to get them out of your life. He's not going to test you to fail. You don't purify silver to fail at making it more pure. You heat silver up to separate the good and the bad and to remove the bad. You don't purify gold to dump more garbage in it and say, look at all the garbage in there. No, you make it more valuable. God, when you're going through a life's test, God's going to be involved in that test with you to refine you, to purify you, to make your leadership better so that you can be a better mother, a better father, a better business owner, a better employee, a better brother or sister, that you can become a better citizen through that refining test, a better member of the church, because you're continually being refined. And I don't mean better as a more valuable, I just mean better at what you do, more refined as God would call us to live in this world, more refined in our decisions, to be more full of wisdom. And I just thought, man, what a cool image of being tested by God, but all for the purpose of becoming more successful and better at what you do in the world.
So our Flourish Women's Conference in 2019, the theme, it was in October, was refined. And I remember feeling like that was supposed to be what it was called. And I got pushback because people were like, that's not a pretty word. That's not an easy word. That's very hard. And yeah, I didn't want to call it refined. But guess what? It was one of the most refining years for me. And then leading into 2020, like we actually I feel we needed that message of refinement leading into 2020 so we would not be so surprised, and so we could see the purpose. Like you said, silver is not refined for no purpose. It's refined for a purpose, to be better, to be worth more, to be more valuable on the other side. And that's why God refines us. That's why he allows the fire to heat up sometimes in our life, because it burns off the dross. It burns off the stuff that isn't helping us, the stuff that's holding us back, the stuff that's distracting us from him and from our actual purpose, which is to reveal Jesus on the earth. And so refining, I fought it at first because I'm like, this is hard and this is painful and I hate it. But what what a kind God that we serve, who would allow us to go through that for the purpose. Not, we know that it's for a purpose. When we know and we can look at it through his eyes, we're like, okay, we trust you, God. I trust you. I trust that you're not going to leave me or forsake me in this hard time. I trust that you have a greater purpose for me on the other side of this, and I'm going to come out smelling like a rose, because
smell good.
Because that's what he does. That's all he does.
Well, what they say about life, and it is true, it's not so much what you go through in life that makes who you are. It's how you respond to those things in life that makes who you are. It's the difference maker in who you will be as a person.
Yeah.
Someone can go through a horrible, horrible situation. Abuse. Just terrible, terrible life, terrible environment. I think about someone I know that would sleep on the floor of family members' homes, and they said roaches would crawl on them while they slept because they were in a very poor part of our community. And that person now is a successful father, a successful husband. They're skilled at a particular industry. They have been promoted in their work to great success. And their response, this person would, at one point in their life, they were in jail at Christmas, and they said, is this the life I'm going to live? Mm-hmm. Got out of jail, whole life changed, just said, I'm not going to allow my circumstances to dictate what kind of man I'm going to be. They're, incredible worship leader. They're a good friend. What that person's done with the life that was handed to them, we could all take a lesson from.
Yeah.
We could all learn from. And the opposite is the person who's been handed life on a silver spoon, on a platter, with everything handed to them. It's still what they do with that. It's still what they do with those opportunities, because there's many people with all the opportunities and all of the talents and all of the things that people would be dying to have, but yet has no work ethic, yet doesn't know how to take advantage of any opportunities that they have, doesn't know how to work hard and push and dream and go and learn and has pride instead of humility and basically says, I've been given all these things, but man, I want to be the best at them. I don't know how to do that, so let me learn, let me grow, let me get wisdom, and almost an insecurity that drives them. In fact, you'll find that the best athletes in the world have a sense of, I'm never the best. No matter where they're at or what they're doing, it's like, I can be better. I'm not the best that I can be at this. From Pele to Wayne Gretzky to Michael Jordan.
Messi.
There's Messi. There was always Messi as a soccer player, for those that don't know.
Sorry.
Lionel Messi. They just had a drive. I'm not the best. Even though they were the best on the team, and in some cases the best in the world, they said, I'm not the best. I got to work harder.
Yeah.
I got to show up early. I got to put in the work. Look at a Tom Brady. The guy is incredible, yet he still practices his throwing mechanics. There were stories of him calling his old, I think even his old high school coach and his old college coach, hey, how's my mechanics looking?
Yeah.
After he's been, I think 10 or 11 Super Bowls now. Crazy.
Yeah. I think we are both very competitive people, and we have some competitive kids as a result, I think. But what I had to learn was that we like winning, but what you learn when you lose and when you go through adversity and hardship, and even let's take it down to school, when something as a concept is hard to learn, there's actually things happening in your brain that need to happen in order for you to progress. Your brain synapses and all those things are actually growing. They're creating new pathways. And so we try to tell our kids and tell ourselves, when something comes hard to you, it actually means that your brain is growing. It's actually a good thing. It's actually good for you to experience some loss and lose the game, because then it builds character, and there's all these things that come out of it. So,
well, I think what you said is really important. When you're learning, your brain is working, and actually it's growing. It's forming new pathways for knowledge and future growth. And a lot of times we get discouraged when we're struggling to learn, but it's in that struggle that you're actually developing. Your brain is developing. I recently heard of an experiment, and I believe it was in the 90s, maybe the 80s, where they did a biodome, and they basically put several people, scientists, in this biodome, and they had to plant their own food and grow their own food and all of this, and it was the perfect environment. And what they were wanting to do is set up basically what it would look like to build something in space where you could survive. And here's the thing that didn't survive in the environment was trees. Trees didn't survive because of lack of wind.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
the wind pushing against the trees every day builds a strong,
That's so
I think they
good.
call it strong wood, a strong wood. And when the wind isn't blowing against a tree, it will not develop that strong wood. And when it doesn't have that strong wood, the trees would grow up to the same heights and fall over and
Wow.
crack because they never had that pressure or that stress. It's an incredible
really
picture.
good.
Yeah, it's really
Is that
awesome.
what her last name means? Stallbaum.
Strong tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strong tree. Not by accident, but because dealing with the pressures of life and fighting through them, right? That's
really
I'm
good.
telling my children that today, okay?
Do it.
You're strong because you're willing to fight through
Yeah.
the things and the stuff, kids. Come on, let's
A little
go.
wind, bring it. No, it's okay. Not tempting anything.
Nah,
Just kidding.
got
Okay.
plenty of win without bringing it.
Verse 14 is so good. The beginning of strife is like letting out water as from a small break in a dam. First it trickles and then it gushes. Therefore, abandon the quarrel before it breaks out and tempers explode. I think that's just a good life verse for all of us to be like, let's stop the strife at the point of its beginning. Like, let's not let it linger. Let's not let it go. You have been wonderful with that in our marriage to not let us go to sleep without dealing with things and handling things. And you flicked on the light at 3 a.m. before and been like, we're talking about this right now. And I'm like, I want to go to bed. So I appreciate that about you. It's just like, let's not let strife keep going till it's gushing, till it's like the dam has broken. And now it's like, even a bigger thing, because then you get down the road and you've said things you'll regret. You've said things you didn't mean. Then those things can't be taken back out of your mouth. Like once they're out, they're out. And yeah, I think it's a really good life principle
It's good.
for sure. Also,
I liked verse 5. I just want to read that.
Yeah.
What verse did you just read?
I've read 14.
14. Awesome.
Yeah.
He who mocks the poor reproaches his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. I think this one's just really coming to life. It just seems like everywhere I turn, I'm considering, what is said by me and others about the people around us that are maybe not perfect or not, doing things just the way that everyone thinks they're supposed to be doing. And I was talking to some friends and just how I grew up. And, a lot of people my age grew up in a culture where bullying really wasn't something talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was kind of just ingrained into us, like bully or be bullied. Like you just got to survive. And in my dad's day, it was like punch your bully in the nose. Like get into a fist fight. I remember in junior high when they started arresting people for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like before that, there would be these big fights after school. Like I went to Rockledge Christian, which was right across Kennedy, and many times we'd go outside after school and we'd see big circle of kids and there'd be a fight going on all the time, just all the time. Like it was once a week. Back when I went to Rockledge High during a stretch as a 10th grader, there was a fight a day and they were really, really bad. There was like war going on with people, little gang wars and stuff like that. And it's just like we played games where, you just would point out the negative things in other people. You'd sit at the mall and mock everybody that went by. And then you see that develop into online profiles where there's whole websites dedicated to mocking people and laughing at people falling. And some of that's great. It's funny fail videos where people are failing at like riding a bike, you laugh. They've actually most of the time submitted the videos. But here's the thing. We're much more aware in our culture of mocking the poor. But you know who's always been aware of it is God.
Yeah.
When you mock the poor, when you mock somebody who's mentally challenged, when you mock somebody who's weaker than you, when you mock somebody,
Different.
you reproach the one who made them and who made you. You
That's
don't
heavy.
want to become the enemy of God's children. You don't want to be that guy, And I get there's a place for joking and mocking with each other. In fact, there's a lot of love when you're kind of making fun of each other. There can be a lot of love in that. Like there can be a lot of just jovial joking, but it's a known thing. It's not something that, you're doing for someone who's poor. You do that for your friend who's strong. So there's a place for that, but there's definitely really no place in the world that we live in for mocking someone who loses, mocking somebody who's poor, mocking somebody who's lesser than you, making fun of somebody who seems weaker than you to build yourself up.
Yeah.
I've done that too many times in my life. And I just see myself here going, no, I'm done with that. I'm done with that behavior. It's not coming out of my mouth anymore, because who am I except God's child, just like they are.
Yep. Same thing. That's so good. Well, thanks for joining us. We love you, and we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Morning Breath podcast. If you did, we would love for you to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. To follow along with our daily chapter list and for quick access to East Coast podcasts, events, and more, download the East Coast app. It's the best way to stay connected with everything East Coast. We would also love for you to join our online community. Just search for East Coast Christian Center on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again for listening to the Morning Breath podcast.